was midnight. I was about to go to sleep. That's right. I heard a voice coming from inside the TV. And now, I somehow am inside the TV. But this place, it's empty.
Excuse me.
Huh? Who said that?
Look down.
Whoa, what are you?
I should be the one asking you that. And also, what are you doing in my world?
Your world?
This is my place. It's gotten a little foggier recently, and I started sensing people's energy for some reason.
Whoa. You're gonna have to explain everything to me because I don't understand a thing you're saying.
Shin Megami Tensei Persona 4. Persona games are a spin-off of the Shin Megami Tensei series, which is actually the Megami Tensei series. This is the fourth installment to the Persona series, but not the fourth game. There's a lot to talk about this game, so I'm just gonna stop the intro here. The version I will be focusing on is the PS2 version. However, I will talk about Golden as well. Otherwise, there won't be a point in reviewing this game. Persona 4 came out both to the US and Japan in 2008 for the PS2. The second and canon version, Persona 4 Golden, came out in 2012. Recently, on June 13th of 2020, Persona 4 Golden was re-released to the PC. Odd choice, but I think this is the definitive edition of Persona 4 and you should get it. Ever since Persona 2, Persona games usually had two versions. Although Persona 2 Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment are sequels of each other, Persona 3 Fez, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 Royal are all extensions of the first game. They tend to be the canon game, meaning the events of the second version will be the true version. Persona 4 is the fourth installment of the Persona series, if we're counting the extra games to be just one. The story has nothing to do with the past games and will always be a different setting every time. The story goes— Whoa! This isn't even far in the video. I might as well save the story for last, but there will be some spoilers here and there, so be wary. Now, how am I gonna talk about this game? I truly don't know where to start. I'm just gonna briefly explain how Persona games work. It's almost like your everyday JRPG. Almost. You can attack, use items, and escape, which your typical RPG has. You can guard, which is uncommon in JRPGs, but not rare. Magic is usually used in JRPGs. That feature isn't missing in this game, but it isn't listed as magic. Now this is where the main concept in this game comes handy. You use a persona. These beings are things that represent you in a way. It's what your heart sees yourself as. I think Persona 5 explained this the best way, but we ain't talking about Persona 5 today, are we? All personas are unique, giving you different stats, magic, attacks, and support skills. But I'm only talking about the main protagonist since he could have more than one persona. Party members only have one persona they can use. I've only talked briefly about how the battle system works, but there's more to do than just battling in the Persona series. In the normal world, we'll get to what that means in a sec. Ever since Persona 3, social links were a big part of this game. This allows you to interact with party members, or just people that look pretty interesting. Each social link gives you a little narrative between the main character and the person you're interacting with. Some can give you trust, while others can become more than just friends. Ooh. As I mentioned, every Persona game takes place in a new location every time. This game takes place in a small town called Inaba. It's based off of the Japanese countryside, but it's not a real place. I do like this setting as, since it's small, it feels like you're a part of the community that lives here. You've got the key locations like the school, the riverbank, the place you're staying at, the town, and the main location, Junes. There are other locations that, sadly, you cannot access, but will go there during some events. These can be accessed for jobs, story-related events, or social links. Some of these places look so cool, and it would have been interesting if you were allowed to roam around these places. However, in Golden, they added a new location from one of these places, Okina City. The places you would be going to the most are the school, the town, and Junes. Now, Yasugami High is the school the main protagonist attends. You basically go here every day, or at least in days there are school. So Monday to Saturday, and also if those days don't have holidays. a majority of the important characters will be in this location. You can join clubs, hang out with some students to further their social links, or ask for quests. More on that later. School will also improve your normal world stats. More on that later. The riverbank isn't anything special. This area has some quests available, and you may stumble upon people to build your social link with them. The only other thing that is pretty big in this place is fishing. Yes, you can fish in this game. You go to the old man by the bottom of the riverbank, near the dock. Of course, with fishing, you'll need bait, and you can acquire some when cooking. Fishing is also available during the nighttime, and that's one of the only things you could really do outside during that time. This place is useful for completing quests and finding people to improve your social links with. The central shopping district is a key area in this game. This is another place you would spend a majority of your time in. This place has everything you will really need. A shop where you can get weapons and armor, and another shop that lets you get battle and dungeon items. There's a bookstore that allows you to buy books which can improve your real world stats whenever you read them. There's also a ramen restaurant that also allows you to improve your real world stats whenever you eat there. On rainy days, there's a challenge you could partake in, which you'll complete if your real world stats are maxed out. There are other small shops where you can buy food from, which allows you to heal in the other world. There's also a shrine which lets you meet up with a fox, and the fox will give you requests. And finally, there's a bulletin board which allows you to get jobs. But other than that, there isn't anything crazy going on in this place. The Dojima residence is the location the main protagonist stays in other words, his house. But at this point of the video, I can't explain much more about why he's here. In this place, you still have stuff you can do. Most of them are during the evening though. This is where you will see Nanako Dojima, the protagonist's cousin, and Ryotaro Dojima, the protagonist's uncle. You can improve your social links with them here, as well as do some various other things like study, make some lunch, read a book, etc. Whenever a new day comes and you'd like to end it, you could just go to the Dojima residence and it would become the evening that way. Okina City is one of the 2 new places that have been added in Persona 4 Golden. This was present on the PS2 version, just not as a place where you could visit on your own time. You would see this place when you hang out with people, but never really got to explore it. But in Persona 4 Golden, they made this place have shops you could visit. The way you unlock this place is by riding your scooter 3 times around the neighborhood. By the way, scooters are also new to Persona 4 Golden. Coco Fur is a place that allows you to buy costumes for the characters. This was something Persona 3 Fest introduced, but that game came out at the same time as Shin Megami Tensei Persona 4. It's a neat feature for customization. Shanghai Cafe is a place that allows you to get some skill cards. This place just bought all the new things that were never present on the first game, but I really like this place. Shichiri Beach is the other new place that was added in Persona 4 Golden. There isn't really much you can do here. You also unlock this place by riding your scooter 3 times, but you'll have to do 3 long rides. This place is another place to fish in. You also have the choices to gaze out to the sea or swim. When you gaze, you can get bonus skill to a random persona, which makes this place a bit useful. And finally, Junes. Junes is the most important place in this game, as you will be coming here a lot, and I mean a lot. Junes is a department store that you can't buy anything in, but this place is basically where our heroes spend their time planning their next adventure and ultimately going inside the TV. Now what is on the other side of the TV? Well, it's darkness and endless, it brings despair, and you gotta fear no more. This place is connected to the real world by a TV. To people who end up here, they are taken to a dungeon their heart sees fit. Like, if you're a person who treats everyone like they're worthless and they are your slaves, you would be in a castle as you'd see yourself as a king or something. This place exists because people have thoughts they always keep to themselves. They are never true to themselves. And as long as this is the case, this place will continue to exist. Dungeons are home to shadows. These are people's hidden thoughts made into life. There are the enemies you face throughout the Persona series. When someone ends up here, they'll find themselves in a place with very thick fog, unless you wear some special glasses. They have a counterpart which is their shadow. This is you, but the you hide from people. The you with the true personality. Or at least the personality you don't use as much. This is your persona that you dislike. Because you hide it from yourself, it will appear as you in an odd way. It's ugly to look at, and once you say you aren't your persona, it becomes even uglier, as it is now not you. It will think differently than you. It will act as if it's not you, as much as you don't want it to be you. I hope this is making sense to you guys. To sum it up, fake you is you, but you don't like fake you. So fake you accepts this and goes crazy. That may have been the easier way of explaining it. Way to waste your time, Eebworld.
Oh, so basically, this place can be accessed through a TV. And this is where you live, and it's been getting foggy lately. And every time it isn't foggy in here, it's foggy in the real world? Yeah, that still doesn't make sense.
You're hopeless.
Oh well, it doesn't matter anyways. By the way, how do you know about the real world?
Well, 1, you came in here. And 2, I can hear everything that's happening on the other side, so it's only natural to think there is a different world.
Huh. Anyways, is there a way to go back?
Yes, there is. But you've got to promise me one thing. Promise to come back soon.
Sure. Just let me leave first. I'm so exhausted.
Then it's a promise. To get out of this world, go through one of the TVs over there on that pile.
What a crazy night it was. Oh crud, it's so late. I gotta get some sleep. I've got school tomorrow.
In your typical RPG, you would need some party members. The main protagonist doesn't count, since he kinda needs to be in the party. So that means you have 6 other party members, plus a support member. In your party, you can only have 3 other people join you. It's good the game gives you a vast selection of characters you could put in your party, but if you're like me, you may end up just using the same characters for the majority of the game. The party members who join you throughout the game are mostly in the same high school as you. Given the setting, you won't see anything out of the ordinary with these members. So you have the over-exaggerated type anime guy Yosuke Hanamura, a karate-loving girl Chie Satonaka, the traditional Japanese lady Yukiko Amagi, the misunderstood delinquent Kanji Tatsumi, a literal idol Rise Kujikawa, the anomaly character Teddy, and the detective prince Naoto Shiragane. Then there's the main protagonist, Yu Narukami, which is his canon name by the way. Just like every JRPG, you'd have your types of party members like a mage, healer, a tank, etc. So for the sake of this video, I'm gonna say them now. Yosuke is both an offense and defense character, having good support magic but also good attacking magic. Chie is the tank character, attacking more with physical attacks than using her magics. Yukiko is half healer and half offense. She's basically the mage as she mostly attacks with magic and it's good for healing. Kanji is another tank character, but unlike Chie, he's good with magic attacks as well as physical attacks. He would normally have the most health in the group. Teddy is a healer and a support character, having mostly heal and support magic. Naoto is an offense character, basically only being good at attacking. Naoto's magic is normally strong. Rise is the only character who won't attack like normal, basically supporting the party from a distance. She can heal at random moments and support the party in many different ways. Finally, Yu is a jack of all trades. He can basically be any of the types depending on the circumstances. You would normally feel attached to all these characters during the story's events, but each character has their own story to tell, which is why the Persona series has something called the social links. Social links were added in the previous Persona game, Persona 3. It's a feature that gives us more insight into some special characters, all party members of course, but there are other non-playable characters that also get their own social link. Let's start from the top. It's introduced when you save Yosuke himself. You can see this bond being formed by their dialogue. This will be the case with some party members, like Chie. She gets hers throughout the story. This social link unlocks 2 days after Yosuke's, making it the second social link in the game. Yukiko is the next party member who also gets hers automatically through the story. Now, Kanji is a special one. You do unlock it after some parts of the story, but you have to do it manually as well. You'll have to talk to Kanji to start the social link. Teddy is the next one on the party. It starts automatically before the mission involving Rise. All of Teddy's social links are automatic, so you won't need to worry about progressing manually. Rise is the next character, and this one starts automatically as well. You get it after completing the mission with her. For the final party member, Naoto will not be unlocked automatically. You get Naoto's social link after the mission, but it doesn't start until October 21st. I did mention that you get social links for other characters. Nanako Dojima, the protagonist's little cousin, unlocks her social link through the events of the story. It's unlocked automatically like some characters. Ryotaro Dojima gets his unlocked when you talk to him while he's reading the newspaper. He doesn't stay at the house much, so you kinda have to do this immediately. Then there's the school social links. The first one is introduced in April 19th, as you can decide to be in either the basketball club or the soccer club. Depending on the club, the social link story will be different. Basketball is for Ko, and soccer is for Daisuke. Either way, when you get their social link to level 4, you get access to Ai Ebihara's link. It'll make sense as to why when you play through them. On April 25th, you get access to Yumi Ozawa or Ayane Masugana's social link. You get them by joining the drama club for Yumi or the music club for Ayane. Saki Konishi's brother, Naoki Konishi, also has a social link. It starts on June 8th, and the way you unlock it is by talking to him every single day. By doing this, his social link will start. On May 2nd, you get access to work as an assistant daycare taker. When you work there twice, Eri Minami's social link will start. On May 25th, you'll unlock Shu Nakajima's social link by working as a tutor. That same date gives you access to work at a hospital as a cleaner. You get Sayoko Uehara's social link after working there twice. When you level her social link to 4, you can start Hisano Kurado's social link by talking to her on Sundays or holidays at the floodplains. Now the next couple are pretty special. The investigation team's social link upgrades every time you get a new party member, but that will only get you until 7, so the next few will be just you progressing through the game. However, on December 3rd, you will have to do something very specific to get this next one. You'll have to uncover the truth. I won't say what it is now, but it decides whether you can finish the game normally or not. If you answer correctly, you'll get the Seekers of Truth S-Link. This will also upgrade every time, and this one's more rapid. Margaret is a character you'll encounter and is pretty important to the story. You get hers by doing some special quest of persona fusions. I'll go over that in a couple of minutes. Now this last one is pretty weird. You get a social link with a fox. It's a pretty important member to the party. However, I excluded it when I talked about the party. So the fox can restore your HP and MP if you pay it. But the only way to get the fox in the first place is by starting the social link. It requires you to go to the shrine and get a quest from the fox. Every time you finish one quest, the social link goes up. That was all of them for the base game, but Persona 4 Golden still exists. Yes, there were new social links added in this version. The first one is a character that was already in the base game. Adachi got one. His social link is kind of annoying to get level 10, as you won't get the true ending this way. I can't explain this now, but it will make sense soon enough. And the last character is a new one introduced to Persona 4. Mari changes the story of Persona 4 slightly, which I will discuss as well. Her social link will also lead to the true ending, so make sure you max this one out. What's special about social links is some characters, mainly the female characters, can be romanced. If you play like me and just make every girl your girlfriend, then it doesn't matter. But if you actually take the game seriously, you would probably stick with one. Social links are pretty useful, as when you max out someone's social link, you can fuse a special persona. If you level up your party members' social links, they'll be able to do a follow-up attack, support people when they're knocked down, and take a fatal blow for you. And if you max out their social link, their persona evolves. That's really all to it for social links.
I'm telling you guys, I actually went in the TV.
Yeah, and then you're gonna tell us there was a little yellow world inside?
Yes!
What's next? There's an alien there too?
Exactly! See, I knew that place was real.
Dude, he was joking.
What?
Do you know how bizarre that sounds?
No one will ever believe you!
But I'm telling you guys, it's true.
Come on, let's go.
Sick.
Wait!
Hey, I saw you talking about going inside the TV.
Yeah, so what? Are you gonna be like them and laugh at me?
No. In fact, I want to talk to you.
What do you mean?
I want to be your friend. You sound like an interesting person.
For real? Sure.
Awesome!
This game has many genres. I don't know if this is fitting to say, but slice of life is one of those genres. It plays a huge role in what you do in the real world. We all know your typical RPGs have a level up system to help your combat. However, in this game, you have two different stats, one for the real world and one for the TV world. In the real world, there are many things you can do. Going to school, being in a club, hanging out with different characters, getting a job. It's packed with so many things. Some of these things may require you to have a certain level in a stat. In the real world, the stats you have go as followed: knowledge, courage, expression, diligence, and understanding. The maximum level it can possibly get to is level 5. Now these are very important things if you want to max out your social links. Some social links and part-time jobs require you to have certain levels in one or multiple stats. I should mention this now. The game works by a day-to-day system, so you will play the game by an in-game calendar. There are multiple ways you can improve these stats. So it works like this. You do something, the game says you feel like whatever stat has improved. Once you get enough points, that stat will level up. You'll normally encounter things you would do in everyday life that would end up improving your stats. School is a big part of this game. 1. You will spend a majority of the time in school. 2. Most of the cases have something to do with school. And 3. It can boost your normal stats. You'll be in school from the day you get to Inaba to the last day of school. You do get breaks like winter, summer, or Japan's exclusive Golden Week. It replicates a high school student's time in school. In school, there are some days that teachers will ask you questions. If you get them correct, you will get some knowledge points. Other days, the teacher may ask your friends, and they will ask you for the answer. If you answer correctly, not only will a stat go up, but your relationship will become better with your friends. This will end up allowing you to continue their social link. School also has some clubs you can join. They open on different days, but they open fairly early in the game. The clubs you can join are the sports clubs, either basketball or soccer, and a culture club, either drama or band. As I mentioned before, these will get you social links, but I didn't mention they will help your real world stats. Other than that, school really doesn't have much else going for it. It's got the culture festival later in the game. You can hang out with your friends in the weekdays here. That's really it. Other things you may be doing daily is going to the shopping district. It's got a couple of things there. You have the bookstore that allows you to get books. When you buy books here, you could read them in the evening at the Dojima residence. You have two different choices of how to read the book. To either read it thoroughly or to glance through it. Depending on how you read it, you'll finish it pretty quickly or it will take a couple of days. There's another way to boost your stats. The shopping district also has a couple of places to buy some food. There's the tofu shop, run by Rise's grandmother. There's Sozai Daigaku, which sells some croquettes. And there's the Chinese diner. The Chinese diner sells some ramen that, you guessed it, will boost your stats. On rainy days, however, there's the Rainy Day Mega Beef Bowl challenge. You won't be able to finish it if you don't max out all your stats. But that's okay, if you don't max them out, every time you attempt this challenge, you'll gain points for 3 random stats. Near the Chinese diner, you could see a bulletin board that will allow you to apply for some part-time jobs. I already mentioned the fact that these jobs will get you some social links. As far as other things go in the shopping districts, it's a place you can meet up friends and stuff. Now Segawa Riverbank also has things you could do in your everyday life. The only real thing that you can do there is go fishing. You obviously will need some bait to go fishing. That's why sometimes when the game says there are ingredients to make some lunch for school, if you decide to make some lunch, you'll get bait as leftovers. With this, you can go fishing. However, depending on your diligence, you can do a certain amount of rounds. There are a couple of fish that you can get here. The old man behind you will trade you things every month depending on what type of fish you got. Fishing can also be done during night, so if you don't want to read, study, sleep, or whatever, you can just do some fishing. You basically wait for a fish to bite the bait, which you will then reel in the fishing pole by pressing circle a bunch. Some fish will be pretty strong, so you may need to press other buttons from time to time. The Dojima residence obviously plays a big part in your life. It's a place the protagonist stays at during the events of this game. You would spend your times here mostly in the evenings. At the Dojima residence, you have the living room and your room. In the living room, Nanako and sometimes Ryotaro will be there, and you may progress their social links if they're available. You will also have the option to cook if there are some supplies in the fridge. This makes you have some lunch for school. When you're making it, the game will give you options on how to make the food. If you make it well, you'll be able to eat it for the next day in school. If you mess up, it will just become bait you could use for fishing, but the leftovers you have from cooking also becomes bait. So either way, you'd normally get fishing bait. In the protag's room, this is where all the fun begins. You can read if you bought the book from the bookstore, or if you got it off a quest. You also have the option to study to improve your knowledge, sleep to intensify some social links, or you can work on the workbench. It's right in front of the couch, and you'd need this for some jobs. That's really it for Yu's room and the Dojima residence. In Persona 4 Golden, there were 2 places added like I said. Okina City acts like the shopping district. This place just has more shops to go to. And then there's a beach. Let's just hope you were listening earlier because I don't want to repeat myself. Just like every typical RPG, there are side quests. In this game, they're in the form of a quest. There really isn't a way to tell who has quests for you, as there really isn't anything indicating it for you. Quests are unlocked after a specific day, and there are 50 quests in total, 69 if you're playing Golden. Usually, you talk to the person who has the quest. You do something for them, most of the time it's bringing an item, and then you get your reward. You find these people anywhere, and I do mean anywhere. The school has many people you can encounter. Segawa Riverbank and the shopping district also have a few you may find, but there's one specific place that's quite interesting. Remember the fox? Yes. It has its own set of quests, dubbed the Fox Quests. These quests are what boosts your social link. It usually starts out by visiting the shrine at the shopping district. When you go there, the fox will come out and give you a letter with a request from someone. You do the request written on the letter, and once you've finished, you go back to the shrine. Just like that, the social link will rank up. On my first playthrough, I was so focused on doing all of them, but near the end of the game, I just decided to try and finish the game and not focus on quests. Well, there's always the second playthrough.
Maybe they were right. Maybe this whole thing is fake. But if it isn't, then I should go visit that little dude. Yeah, I'll go later. Okay, so last time I went in by entering the TV at midnight. Well, it's midnight now, so I might as well try that again. Am I always gonna fall like that when I enter here?
So you kept your promise. Thank you for keeping me company.
Hey, no problem. By the way, what should I call you?
Oh yeah, we haven't introduced ourselves yet. My name's Sippy. I'm a hamster.
Sippy, huh? Okay then, call me Eve.
Nice to meet you, Eeb.
Yeah, you too. So the other day, you mentioned something about shadows. Mind explaining it a bit more?
Sure. Shadows are dark beings that sadly infest this world. I don't remember there ever being a time where shadows existed, but they are tough.
So why don't you just fight them? You look like you know how to defeat them.
I would if I could. Sadly, I don't have the power to do so.
Huh. Anyways, I wanted to know what's up with this place. It's kind of weird coming here and not expecting anything bad.
Now that you mention it,
Dang it, I kind of didn't want to do anything this week.
ever since you entered this world, I felt your energy, but not here.
Wait, what?
In fact, it feels like a shadow's energy, but the special ones only appear if the real person has an impure heart.
So you're saying I'm not a good person?
I'm saying you're not being true to yourself. Is there anything you're hiding from yourself?
No, I'm as true as I can be.
The only way to open his eyes to the truth is by taking him to his shadow. It will be risky, but it's the only way to get rid of his stubbornness. Okay, we're going to the source of this energy, and you're going to help me get rid of it.
And just like that, the next journey starts.
I don't really know if I should have waited this long to talk about the battling in this game, but here we are now. If you stuck for this long, thank you. I only have a few things to talk about after this. JRPGs have almost the same structure when it comes to battle systems. Most of them tend to go for the turn-based system. Persona is no different. Starting from before you initiate these battles, you'll see these dark creatures named shadows. You have different variants, the floating shadows, the floor shadows, and the challenge shadows of the two types. The floating and floor shadows would have shadows that are beatable at your current level, while the challenge shadows are a little harder to beat. Depending on your level, the shadow size will change. If you are under leveled, the shadow will be big, but if you're in a high level, the shadow will be tiny. To start the battle, you can hit the shadow or they will run into you. If you hit the shadow in front, the battle will be normal. If you hit their back, you get to have an extra turn at the start, and if the shadow touches you from behind, they get the advantage. This may look similar to the Mario and Luigi battle initiations. When the battle starts, you'll see a difference in UI. There are a couple of actions you can do. There's the attack, which just lets you do a normal attack. That's kinda straightforward. There are items, which let you use items. There's escape, which lets you escape after a couple of turns. But here's where it becomes different from other RPGs. There's an option with the title of the franchise. Well, it's not really that. It's just to change your persona. This is only available for the protagonist. Then there are skills. Think of magic from other RPGs, except some of these skills use your health. That's right, you have your typical magic attacks that use skill points, this game's equivalent to magic points, and then you have the HP attacks, which uses your health. It's a really interesting mechanic as it strays away from what RPGs normally do. Both skills and HP attacks are pretty good. With HP attacks, they usually have some upside with them too. There can be attacks which deal light damage, but it has a high chance to make the enemy dizzy. Now with magic attacks, it works just like Pokemon. There are enemies who have weaknesses and can also buff themselves with some elements. This is where the analysis button comes handy. All new enemies you go against in a dungeon, you won't know their weaknesses and strengths. But if you attack them with the move that caused either of those, you'll get to see it on every other battle with them. Some enemies won't have a weakness, like challenge enemies and bosses, and some can drain elements which lets them recover health. Earlier, I pointed out that party members get follow-up attacks by improving their social link. Yes, follow-ups come completely random. They aren't as rare as crits, so much so that I think they are more common. It might be I just have terrible luck, but the party member would ask you to let them do their move after you hit a shadow with something that makes them weak. They usually crit another shadow or completely make one disappear. Yeah, Cheers is something else. There are also the other two that I mentioned, with them helping you out by either getting you back up or just taking a hit for you, but only once will they take a hit for you. Now the one I still haven't mentioned is a nice one, the all-out attack. This is a move that lets the party rush and attack the enemies at once. This only is an option when all enemies are down. It isn't as flashy as Persona 5's, but it's satisfying to watch. A neat detail is, if the all-out attack won't kill all enemies, the character will come out flying from the clouds and rush back in. In Persona 4 Golden, there are two more new follow-up attacks. They're like mini all-out attacks. The first has the characters using their motorcycles and just crashing it into the shadows. The second needs a pair of characters to perform this. It also has to be specific. This has the two characters doing a synergized move. You could think of these as Showtime moves from Persona 5 Royal. Personas are the main point of the game. If we look at the literal meaning of persona, it reads the aspect of someone's character that is presented to or perceived by others. In other words, a person's identity. This is true in the game as well. As in Persona 4 specifically, a character unlocks their persona depending if they accept who they truly are. Unless you're the protagonist, and what a surprise, he doesn't even need to do that. The protagonist has a different heart from the other characters. Not only does he not have to face himself and accept his identity, but he can have more than one persona. What does that tell us about the main character? That he doesn't know who he really is? Getting personas is like getting Pokemon, but not really. After a battle, you have a chance to get a persona. This is in the form of a shuffle time event. The two versions of Persona 4 are different from each other. In the PS2 version, the shuffle time event acts as a roulette. You choose from a set of cards, and the content will be different most of the time. You can get personas, nothing, or a penalty card. The penalty card gets rid of all the after battle awards, like XP or money. If you get a persona card or a blank card, you get a chance to spin a tarot card. If it's right side up, it's a good thing, but if it's upside down, you'll get a penalty. Just don't do the death card. Ever. In Persona 4 Golden, they decided to change this way. Judging from what I saw, it lets you decide what cards you want. You can get penalties from them and a boost. I don't know, I've never played Golden. Please forgive me, I'll play it soon. You have my word. There's another way to get personas. You can get them in the Velvet Room. Now this is a place I've left out, but it's key to getting new personas. After doing some shuffle time events, you will naturally have more than one persona with you. In the Velvet Room, you can use these personas to fuse them into a different persona. There are a lot of different personas and combinations, and while the game progresses, there will be more different ways to fuse. Margaret will give you the option to fuse 3 personas into one, 4 personas into one, and so on. There are some personas you won't have access to until you've done 2 things. Maximize the social link and beat the game. When you beat the game, you have the option to make a new file containing some previous data. You can call this a New Game Plus. There's also another restriction when it comes to making personas. Depending on your character's level, you may be limited to which personas you can make, as they can only be fused if they're equal or below your level. The only way to get personas a higher level than you is by leveling up the social link for the persona's arcana. I already talked about the Midnight Channel, but to make the Midnight Channel more interesting, there are dungeons. These are like levels to go to for each part in the story. The way they are designed matches the owner of the dungeon's hidden personality. Many of them make sense, like Yukiko and Kanji's, but some are interesting. Why does Mitsuo see the world as a game? Is this supposed to be Namatame's dungeon or Nanako's? And why does it look so pretty for a dungeon? Whatever. Before you can get into the dungeon, you have to find some info about the person who's in the TV. For Yukiko, it was different, but after her dungeon, you'll most likely need to start doing that. Dungeons are always structured differently whenever you go into them, but only if you left the TV and enter back the next day. There are a couple of chests in these places, and some of these chests need a key. You can get the chest keys by killing some challenge enemies or finding them in chests that don't require a key. You can also get it by fishing and trading with the old man. You can get some accessories or items you normally couldn't buy. Each dungeon is about 10 floors long. In the middle of the dungeon, you'll probably fight a mini-boss. This is part of the story for the first couple, but then it kinda just becomes something you have to find out. I'm pretty sure it starts in Mitsuo's dungeon since nothing really tells you to fight a mini-boss. By the way, you have to fight a mini-boss to progress. It's either a roadblock or it gives an item to progress. They're pretty tough, but not as tough as the bosses. See, I played this game in expert mode, so you take more damage from the enemies, and bosses don't even have weaknesses. When you beat the boss of the dungeon, there's a second boss that appears if you go back. When you beat it, you can find a weapon for a character. These weapons are usually pretty good, so go get them if you haven't. Persona 4 Golden has one extra dungeon that only lasts one day. This is part of the story, so I'll leave it to when I get to that part.
Whoa, wait, this place looks familiar.
As you can see, this is the place your heart created. This is what represents you in a way.
Huh, and there are shadows in here?
Indeed. Be extra careful. You can't fight shadows no matter how much you try.
Okay. Whoa, what's this? Even the inside looks like a place I've been in. And what's more, there are two black things in the distance right there.
What?
What's up?
Those are shadows. They're coming right towards us.
Oh, no. They're scary.
Eeb?
Are you scared?
What?
Fear not, as I am what is within you.
Who said that? Who said that?
You have an impure heart, but pure enough to reach out to me. Believe in yourself with all your might. Scream out my name as I am thou, and thou art I. Now, call me your persona.
Man.
Yes. Now use your persona with all your might.
Okay, Persona. Let's beat the shadow to a pulp. For whatever reason, I feel more powerful.
That must be your persona's impact.
Oh, whatever it is, I'm not gonna hold back on that shadow. Alright, Hachiman, burn that shadow. That hurt.
Try freezing it. It looks like it hates being cold.
Right. Okay, Hachiman, let's try this again. Freeze them.
It's down. Now attack it at full force with an all-out attack.
Ooh, that sounds cool. Alright, here I come. Take this! Oh, that was exhausting. Come on, Subi. Let's get to the end.
Now, music is something I really want to talk about. Music is just really amazing. Persona music has always been good. In fact, I would even put Persona music somewhere at the top of the list of best video game music. All Persona games have a different style of music. Previously, Persona 3 had like a rap and hip hop type vibe going for it. It also had techno music as well. Persona 4 on the other hand is pretty different. It goes for the rock and pop type genres. You could clearly see a difference of music like Reach Out to the Truth, which has the pop genre, and Mass Destruction, which is pretty much rap. But for my favorite Persona music, I would easily give it to Persona 4. Don't get me wrong, Persona 3 and 5 have pretty good songs too, but overall, I'd rather Persona 4. Every song in this game, from the battle music to the credits song, the victory music to the event songs, they are all really great. There are a couple of boss songs here and there, but the best one in my book is either the Misc or the Almighty. Persona 4 Golden has new music for battle and events which are also pretty good, but it still has the same genres of music, so it's still appropriate to the game. When you purchase the PS2 version now, you will most likely find the version that has an extra disc that has the Persona 4 music. Well, there really isn't much to talk about this disc. However, there is another album worth mentioning. The Reincarnated album has many of the Persona 4 songs remixed to sound more like a performance type song. So like, Signs of Love sounds like a pretty basic song in the game, but the Reincarnated version sounds more like a jazz performance. I do like most of these reincarnated songs more than the original. I'm pretty sure you can buy the soundtrack on Steam now since Persona 4 Golden released there. If you want to spend the extra money, go ahead. It's pretty good. Now, we finally made it to the end. I'll be talking about the story, so there will be major spoilers. Although I said I was focusing on the PS2 version, I'll also be talking about Persona 4 Golden. This is a major part of the game after all, and both stories are a bit different from each other. I'll start with the PS2 version as it's non-canon. I'm also going to try and skip or barely talk about the filler stories in the game. So the story starts out with the protagonist leaving the city to get to Inaba, as his parents aren't in the country. On his way there, he had an encounter in a different realm. His mind was present in the Velvet Room, in the form of a dream. Kinda. There, he met Igor and Margaret, inhabitants of the Velvet Room. Igor explains what is to come of the protag's 1-year stay. Soon after, the scene gets back to Yu's train ride to Inaba. I'm gonna call the protagonist Yu from now on. Nanako and Ryotaro are both waiting for you to arrive in Inaba. You say your welcomes, then your next stop is the gas station at the shopping district. Here, the gas attendant gives you a warm welcome and shakes your hand. When Nanako and Dojima get back, you finally get to the Dojima residence. The next day, you start school at Yasugami High School, and your homeroom teacher is Mr. Moroka, or as students like to call him, King Moron. In the Japanese version, they call him Morokin if you're wondering. You introduce yourself, kind of, and then a female student, which is Chie, asks if you could sit next to her. Now you, Chie, Yosuke, and Yukiko sit next to each other. Surely this couldn't have been planned, right? Anyways, there's an incident that happens in the same day, and someone found a corpse hanging on the roof of a house. Now there is a murder case that goes on for the whole game, but your friends don't know what's going on yet. The school locks you down, but when you finally can leave, you leave with Chie and Yukiko. Wow, starting your harem so early, huh? Here, you find some ladies gossiping about someone being hanged on the roof of a house and stuff. Dojima comes and tells you guys to leave, so you do just that. The next day comes and people are talking about some rumor about something called the Midnight Channel. The rumor goes like this: at midnight on rainy days, you look at the TV, which is turned off, and an image of your future partner will show on your screen. You, Chie, and Yosuke decide to try this out, and what do you know? It worked. But this is where Yu hears a voice calling him into the TV, so he just decides to put his head in, and then he got stuck. The next day, you three meet and report that it worked, but when Yu says something, the other two decide to laugh. So jokingly, Yosuke makes the recommendation to try that again at Junes since they have bigger TVs. When you guys arrive, Yu puts his head in the TV, and to Yosuke and Chie's surprise, you're telling the truth. Yosuke wanted to go to the bathroom, but then he pushes you three into the TV. Then you find yourselves in some type of place looking like a studio. You guys walk around to try and find an exit, but then you enter a room with a noose and a chair. We both know what that means. You suspect that this is a possible cause of why Miss Yamano, the person who was murdered and hanged on the roof, got killed. You guys decide to go back where you started, and there you meet a bear thingy. Well, Teddy. You ask him a couple of questions about the place, and he has you and your group under suspicion for throwing people in there. Fast forward a bit, another murder happens. This time, a girl named Sakiko Nishi was the victim. You and Yosuke decide to go back to the TV and ask Chie to support you guys. The plan was to go in with a rope, but that doesn't go accordingly. Teddy tells you that a new place was made and you guys go there. It looks like the shopping district, and two shadows come out of the liquor store where Saki's family works. Now, this is where Yu awakens his persona. You do the fight, go in the liquor store, and then Yosuke comes out. Shadow Yosuke says stuff on what Yosuke is thinking, but Yosuke denies it. This makes the shadow version turn into a boss shadow, which you then fight. Yosuke still wants to deny it, but decides to man up and accept it. With that, Yosuke gets his persona as well. You, Yosuke, and Teddy don't really understand what just happened fully, So you and Yosuke decide to keep a promise with Teddy. The promise is to find out who's throwing people into the TV. You guys get out of the TV to only find Chie crying. She doesn't really forgive you since she thought you guys were stuck there. The next day, you three meet up at school, but Yukiko isn't there. And by the pattern of how things go, you guys start worrying. She isn't answering her calls, but she does answer the inn's phone. Side note, her family owns an inn which she helps out in. The next day, she is reported missing, so you, Chie, and Yusuke decide to go on the TV. You saw her on the Midnight Channel the previous day, so you guys only suspect that she would be in there. Teddy finds her located in a castle. This castle suits her hidden emotions as she only saw Chie as her prince. She was sick of that and she wanted to become better, as we can see by her shadow saying stuff. Oh yeah, she said something about hot studs, I don't know. You guys go to rescue her, but Chie, being her best friend, tried rushing in. You have to save Chie first since she found a shadow of herself in the castle. When you save Chie, you go back out to let her rest, but now she's officially a member of your party. You go back in, obviously, to save Yukiko, and when you get to the room she and her shadow are located, you fight it. When you beat it, she accepts herself and gets her persona that way. You take her out to rest as well. You ask her questions about if she remembers anything, which she doesn't, and then she decides to help out with the investigation. Just like that, Yukiko is now a party member. The next couple of days are pretty peaceful. Midterms happen, so does Golden Week. Nothing crazy happens in these peaceful times until the middle of May. Here, they showed a special about a person who defeated a whole biker gang by himself. Kanji Tatsumi was portrayed as a delinquent from this special, but that same night, someone appeared in the Midnight Channel. Now here, the team decides to call Junes their special headquarters and discuss the matters there. You guys suspect him to be the next victim, so you try and warn him. It's no easy job as Kanji is really stubborn. Shortly after though, the inevitable happens. Kanji got kidnapped. You should have just listened, bro. The night you watch the Midnight Channel, you see Kanji's shadow. Well, let's just say it's out of the ordinary for his character. You go through the same procedure as Yukiko, just trying to get to his shadow. Kanji does the unthinkable and doesn't accept his true self. You fight the boss, but then this one's kinda strange. Kanji's shadow gets back up and Kanji still refuses the fact that that's him. He actually just punches the shadow, and that's actually how the Kanji arc ends. After Kanji has been saved, he agrees to fight with you guys. His motivation is to stop the person who threw him into the TV. So you guys take him to Junes and confirm that everyone who's been on TV ended up being in the TV. So you guys decide to look out for that. But at the same time, there's a school camp with both first years and second years. Since Yukiko, Chie, Yosuke, and you are second years, and Kanji is a first year, you all get to be with each other. You don't really discuss anything about the murders, it's just an ordinary high school trip. There were some pretty good moments here and there, so it was nice to see something not so serious. After you come back from the trip, you find out that an idol named Rosette is taking a break from the industry. She was said to be going back to her hometown, and who would have thought that it was Inaba? Yeah, this is totally not planned, right? With your guys' theory being people who are broadcasted will be the next victim, you guys decide to warn Rise about what's possibly gonna happen to her. Chie and Yukiko are busy, so you, Yosuke, and Kanji are the ones who go warn her. Yosuke is a little too excited. After that, Dojima and Adachi both go warn her, and that's when you get warned not to put your nose into this situation. Anyways, you guys plan to stake out for any suspects. You guys see some stalker, and then Rise somehow got kidnapped. So the story goes on for another while. You do the same thing. Ask around town until you find enough info about Rise, then you can go to her dungeon. When you get to the boss, you fight Rise's shadow. But then she goes into a phase where you can absolutely do nothing to damage her. But then, Teddy starts moving on his own and literally blows himself up to save you guys. I mean, he didn't die. He just let out a huge energy blast from his body, which ended up deflating him. Rise accepted her shadow, but she said some interesting words which made Teddy think about himself. By doing that, Teddy literally got a shadow of himself. Pretty unexpected. You fight Teddy's shadow, which gets him a persona, and then you finally can rest after all that. What a long fight. Teddy just wants to be left alone for a while, and decides to train himself to bulk back up. So that's where this arc ends. When you get home after all that, Dojima and Adachi come by the house, and Dojima's pretty drunk. He talks about the police department hiring a kid to find some clues about these murders. Apparently this kid wanted to do it for no reward, and for the value he is worth, the police definitely liked that. Not long after, there was another murder. This time the victim was your homeroom teacher, Mr. Muraoka. This completely throws away your progress in the investigation. You and your team decide to meet up in June Nest in the morning. Now here, the story goes crazy. You get to June Nest, discuss some stuff, then decide to go to Teddy. Turns out, Teddy came out of the TV. It makes sense that he could even get out of there, but the strange part hasn't happened yet. Apparently Teddy just grew a whole human body when he came out of the TV or something. Some crazy anime stuff. Don't let it get to you too much. You, Kanji, and Yusuke decide to go see Rise. There, you ask if she can assist you guys with the case. Meanwhile, Chie, Teddy, and Yukiko go shopping to get clothes for Teddy. You find Naoto coming out of Rise's tofu shop, and find out that he is the detective that the police hired. Rise says she wants to help out, so now you guys have a new member. Nothing really happens for a while, other than the fact that Naoto comes and gives you guys some info about the investigation. He says the police found the murderer apparently, and they took him off the team. That's unfortunate. Apparently, this murderer is a high schooler. And then finals happen. After finals, something finally appears in the Midnight Channel. Hey look, it's the high schooler. Who would have thought? You already know the drill at this point. You guys look for some clues to get to his dungeon. Great. You find out the guy is Mitsuo Kubo from one of his old middle school classmates. It actually is a hassle to do all this, but when you get to his dungeon, you just progress like usually. After you defeat Mitsuo's shadow, he still claims he is the killer. Something strange happens with the shadow though. It just disappears. Nothing even changed. But when you take him out to the real world, you send him to the police. Well, looks like the game is over. You guys decide to go celebrate this occasion by doing a cook-off. Then, you can finally enjoy summer vacation. You make plans with the gang and Nanako to go to the summer festival on August 20th. Nothing should happen now that you got the killer, right? At this point, you just go through the summer and a bunch of filler stuff. You just spend your days in August and nothing happened. Like, at all. You guys go to the festival, then you do your summer homework. School starts again, and what's this? Naoto became a student at your high school? Well, that's that, I guess. The next big thing that's gonna happen is the school trip to Tatsumi Port Island. That doesn't happen for a while. When you get to the place, you'll be in for a surprise. The name of the location should have already been a clue to what's coming next. The first and second years end up going together to the city, and the first destination they go to is Gekkokan High. If you haven't guessed it, this takes place in Persona 3's setting. If that doesn't satisfy you, the students end up going to Club Escapade in Paulownia Mall. Some characters are from Persona 3 like Chihiro, and there are some references to one of the main characters from Persona 3. Anyways, when you guys go to Club Escapade, you find out some things about Naoto. The next days, you are just spending them casually. The trip finishes, and when you go back to school, Naoto decides to continue the investigation. Well, the game was still going, so obviously something was gonna happen. Going off of the TV theory, Naoto decided to appear on TV, and also he cuts a couple of days of school. But then some rainy days happen, and out of curiosity, you decide to look at the Midnight Channel. Here, you see a new blurred image. You guys check the next day if it was really Naoto, and turns out he is in the TV. The next day you meet up with the gang. You figure out that the TV theory wasn't debunked yet, and Naoto went on TV on purpose to prove that the case isn't closed. In short, he used himself as bait for the murderer. So you do the same stuff, finding info and all, and then use that info to get to his dungeon. When you get to his shadow, you find out that he was actually a she. You go through the fight like normal, and then you get Naoto out from the TV. Well, there goes another one down. You meet up with Naoto a couple of days later, which she returns back to school. You guys meet up at Junes to discuss, and Naoto says some valid points here. I don't really want to explain it, but basically, the killer couldn't have been Mitsuo, since the person who took Naoto was a man, not a teen. Naoto is rescued, and you guys know the investigation is not done yet. But before anything, there's a culture festival happening, so you have to focus on that for the time being. During the time between Naoto's rescue and the culture festival, a couple of things happen. After the team and Naoto discuss possible links to the killer, Naoto decides to join you guys. The next day or so, she says the team should go to the doctor to check up. The next thing you guys focus on are midterms. That's self-explanatory. Around that time, you get a letter from someone that says stop saving people. This warning letter meant the killer knows you're preventing the deaths. You decided to not show this to Dojima and keep this as a lead or something. The next big event is the culture festival. Your class decides to do a group cafe. No one's really motivated to do anything, but on the days leading up to the culture festival, there are sign-up sheets for some events. There's the beauty pageant and the cross-dressing pageant. Every one of the party members, including Teddy, is taking part. That's cause you were assigned anonymously by the party members. So the day of the culture festival comes, and in day 1, you do the date cafe thingy, which ends up being a flop, but you also spend time with some people you have social links with. And here comes the beauty pageants. The first one is the cross-dressing pageant, which includes all the boys, including Teddy. He wins, by the way. The next one comes and Naoto basically drops out, but still wins. After all that, you guys decide to spend the night at the Amagi Inn. And from this experience, we now know that girls are unfair. I'm not being serious. Please don't turn against me. It was a nice way to just relax for a while. But then, a couple of days later, things go south. You receive another letter, and this time Dojima sees it. That in itself is bad news. It was another warning letter, and now Dojima knows you were involved with the cases in some way. He takes you to the police station, and even telling him the truth isn't enough. He doesn't believe you, so you're locked there for the night. But at the same time, midnight comes. You decide to look at the TV because there's a TV there. This is just too convenient. And then you find out Nanako's the next victim. Not long after, your friends find out Nanako isn't at home and she's missing. Your friends barge into the police room and try to figure out who did this. You shortly figure out that the suspect is most likely Taro Namatame. He was the suspect at the start, but because of the theory you guys have at this point, you suspect him. Dojima goes to chase Namatame, which ends up making him crash. So now you guys are the only ones who could really save Nanako and get Namatame. This point of the game will be pretty lonely for our buddy Yu. No one's at home anymore, and it's now so lonely. You go to one of my favorite dungeons of the game, Heaven. When you defeat Namatame, you guys take Nanako and Namatame to the hospital. Nanako had a hard time breathing when she was in the TV. Finals happen, and you go through that. After a couple of days pass, you go discuss with the group on what you think about the problem. You remembered your promise with Nanako to buy a kotatsu, but when you were shopping for it, the hospital calls and wants you to go check on Nanako immediately. Turns out, Nanako's condition got worse. The doctors really lost hope for her, but they're trying all they can. And then shortly, she passes away. Dojima is really angry and tries to confront Namatame, but is taken back to his room by the guards. So no one is guarding the door now. You guys end up confronting Namatame. You must choose your words wisely, because if you don't, you can't progress with the game. If you choose the correct words, Nanako will come back to life, but if you choose wrong, Nanako will stay dead, and the game will skip to the last day you are at Inaba. Giving Namatame a second chance, you guys now change your suspect. Yosuke comes and says Teddy's missing. You guys meet up at Junes to figure things out. You come to the conclusion that there's still a killer and Namatame didn't do it. You recall the letters and realize that he couldn't write something like that. You go back to Namatame where he tells you his story. He explains that he thought that when people appear on the Midnight Channel, that's the people who need saving. He didn't know the Midnight Channel was the type of place it really was. so you listen to his story and find out the true reason he's doing all this. Judging from his story, he really was doing this stuff as a good intention. You see the story unraveling, starting from Namatame watching the Midnight Channel. He was trying to throw people in as he thought it was a good hiding place away from the killer. And since you kept saving the people, he thought he really was saving them since they didn't die. You walk around the town to ask some questions. You really couldn't figure out who caused these murders out of the information you guys got from the neighborhood. You figure out who the killer is. Adachi, the wimp who looked like he couldn't do anything right. He's got some balls doing something like this. Turns out, he is a really twisted person. At first, when you go to the hospital to confront him, he tries denying these facts since Dojima is there, but then he tries to run away from the place, and what other way can he do it other than going inside the TV himself? You guys decide to go after him the next day. You go to sleep and then meet Teddy in the Velvet Room. He remembers his past and starts moping, but then he comes back. When you go in the TV, you find out what really happened with the first two incidents, just as twisted as you would think. When you confront him a second time before fighting him, he goes over why he just did all of it. He only wanted to be a cop for the gun, and he started murdering people because he got bored. He goes on and on about how lame life is and stuff, but when you beat him, he transforms. Wait, it's just an eyeball. You can't even hear what it's saying. Anyways, this is Amino Sagiri, a god I assume, who controls Adachi. When you beat it, Amino decides to do what the team desires, to get rid of the fog. Adachi comes back and expects you guys to kill him. Obviously you don't, but you take him to jail instead. At least all that chaos is over. On Christmas, Dojima and Nanako come home, which is the good news. They decide to celebrate this occasion, so the girls bake a cake. Yeah, they failed twice. So how will the third time go? Well, they made a good cake. The first dub the girls got when they cooked. You guys had a good time and all, but then the game skips to the last day at Inaba. March 20th. It's a nice and sunny day in Inaba. The Dojima residents feel so calm. And it's been so long since you, Dojima, and Nanako all were together at the daytime like this. You decide to go out and say bye to your friends, specifically people who you maxed out their social links with. After all that's done, you can end the game here. But there is more to the game. If you refuse to go back to your house to pack, you can continue the story. If you go to the food court in Junes, you will meet up with everyone one last time. You wonder why you were the special one, and Adachi sent you a letter. This letter just explains how he, Namatame, and you had all the same power. You realize there is more to the mystery of Inaba. You talk to Dojima and Nanako, who remind you what happened on the first day. On the first day, you meet the gas attendant, yes? You have to go to the Velvet Room, and it turns out Igor tells you there's something left. He says go back to where it all started. You go talk with the gas attendant and uncover their true identity. It turns out the gas attendant is who gave you the power by the handshake. You also find out that this is Izanami, and now you have to face her to find the truth. The final journey starts now. You go through one last dungeon to confront Izanami. When you get there, you confirm that Izanami is the one who made the Midnight Channel and the rumors surrounding it. Here's where stuff starts to get interesting. You fight Izanami after she transforms into a huge being, but when you defeat that form, she won't die right away. She will keep attacking until some turns pass, which you will realize that it's impossible to beat her this way. You remember the orb that you got from the Velvet Room. When you use it, Izanami's true form gets revealed. This form is the real final battle. Once you defeat it, something similar happens, as she won't die right away. She attacks you for a bit, and then uses this attack that sucks you into a different dimension. After the whole party gets sucked, you also get sucked in. In this dimension, your consciousness is fading away. But then, when you thought you were a goner, you hear the voices of those who have a max social link. They give you motivation to continue, and then you awaken Izanagi no Okami, the ultimate form of Izanagi. Izanami is in shock that you are back, and you end up withstanding her attacks. When she finally stops, you attack her with Izanagi no Okami's only attack, which ends her, and like that, she decides to bring back the peace, as she realized that humans can handle the truth. And that was the final battle in Yu's stay at Inaba, and also of the whole game. The next day comes, and you are all at the train station. Here, you all say your goodbyes. Even your social link friends come here. It's a pretty sad moment, but I'm telling you, this is one of my favorite Persona endings of all time. Just like that, the game ends. Amazing story. Don't think I forgot all about Persona 4 Golden. The story in this version is pretty much the same thing with some alterations. You have more filler stories, which makes it really like a slice of life show, and this is what I really like from this version. But the biggest difference comes to this one character, Mari. She is a new main character who has amnesia. She does try to remember what she has been doing, but at the same time, she tries to make new memories. You see this in her social link story. You play through the game like you normally would in the PS2 version, until after Adachi's part. If you maxed your social link with Mari, you will get to the next part of the story, the new story from Golden. Mari disappears. On February 12th, you're on a skiing trip. You find this building with a TV in it. You guys get curious if you can enter here. And guess what? Margaret actually pulls you in. That was actually pretty unexpected. When you're in, Margaret explains what this whole world is. You go after Mari as this is the world she made. Apparently, this is the place she was supposed to die in, and she has to. She tries to run away from you guys, as she thinks you guys should see her as the enemy. You fight Mari, and after you beat her, you fight what was inside of her, Kusumi no Okami, and when you defeat it, Mari becomes normal again. Fast forward to the last day you stay in Inaba. Izanami tells you that Mari is somewhat related to her and stuff, but the story here is practically the same. You fight Izanami, the last day comes, you leave, same thing. The game should end at this point, but there's an extra scene here. It's the protag coming back to Inaba the year after. Everyone looks so much different, especially Kanji. What happened, man? This is a really heartwarming scene, and I think I like this one better than the original one. There's one more story though, as you can now have a social link with Adachi. If you decide to max it out, well, just get ready to replay the game. You just trust Adachi even though you know he is the killer. This is such a betraying scene, and it's so scary too, especially how the game ends here. A quick side note here, when you beat the game, you'll have the option to make a new file with previous data. It's a good thing since some personas are not accessible unless you beat the game. There are some things you keep and you lose. You lose basically everything except the key items from max social links and your real world stats. But that's it. Persona 4 is my favorite Persona game. It feels so nice playing it, and I really hope to enjoy Golden as well. I had so many emotions through my playthrough, and I enjoyed every last moment. I recommend this game for anyone who wants to start playing RPG games, and anyone who wants to play a new RPG with a unique story. Get Golden as well, since it's the best version of the game.
My house?
Eve, we're nearing the last room. I feel the shadow's energy. Be careful, this one's special.
Special how?
First of all, this one's super powerful, more like the boss of the dungeon. And second, this shadow will look like the real deal. It's remarkable.
Sippy, is there a mirror in front of us?
That's the actual shadow. And as I suspected, it's you, but the one that has the bad thoughts.
Me? Bad thoughts?
Would you look at that? Took you guys long enough to get here.
You look just like me. Are you really a shadow?
Why yes, I'm a shadow. Your shadow.
Why do I have a shadow?
You really wanna know? Wannabe liar?
What?
All the promises you've made, but couldn't keep. And you wanna be a YouTuber, huh?
Hey, you're kind of breaking the fourth wall here.
Sorry. Not. You know you love Waluigi. You don't really like some of the games you reviewed and called it good. You actually love worthless coins.
No. Anything but that. You can't be.
Calm down, Ebe. You're giving the reaction he wants. Accept it all.
What's more, you even dislike making videos.
No. No. No! You aren't me!
That's all I wanted to hear.
What's happening?
He's transforming. Get ready to fight him.
Oh no.
You like this form?
No way. Looks like this will be a tough battle after all. Hachima, let's go!
That's cute. You've even got your own persona. It makes me sick.
Whoa! I was not expecting that.
What's wrong? Too much for you?
I'm just getting started.
Please, attack with caution.
Alright. Ah!
What was that? A punch?
Punch didn't do anything. That's impossible.
Get out of here! All you can think about right now is how much cooler you can be.
You're wrong.
Huh?
Sure. I do say I dislike Waluigi. But there's a part of me that actually likes the character.
Stop spouting out nonsense.
But that's only because he isn't a developed character. But his design is still really cool.
Oh no. It's...
The truth. Ebe, keep on accepting the truth. He's getting weaker.
Worthless coins can be annoying and a waste of time. But because they're a waste of time, that they can somewhat make a game more fun.
Stop!
Sometimes I do take breaks from uploading twice a week, because I'm even a human. But I try to keep my promise and make up for lost time.
No!
One more should do.
And you may be right. I am a liar. Sure, I do tell people the wrong thing at times, but that's my fault. But that isn't the only thing I lied about. I was lying to myself. Telling myself I don't have any bad qualities.
End it.
Hachima, let's end this.
So you finally accepted the truth.
You are me. Thanks for opening my eyes to the truth. Whoa, what's going on?
It looks like my work here is done.
Wait, are you fading away?
You've brought peace to this world for now, giving this world a reason to not be accessible by humans anymore.
Sippy, you're gonna...
Yes. Thank you for being with me during our short time together. I'm sure we'll cross paths again soon. It looks like your time here is up. The only one that can change your future is none other than you. Farewell, Eebworld.
Sippy!
A crazy adventure this turned out to be. I faced myself, quite literally, and all it did was help me understand. What did Sippy mean? Will we cross paths again? I don't even know, but all I could do now is wait.
Well, the good news is I could rest now. Wait a second. Is this my place?
Hey, PS lover, is that you?